Going to be discussing advancing Africa beyond foreign aid.
Aid is not an altruistic activity, and the best way you can see this is aid is often given to governments. Anyone who studies economics will know if you want to develop an economy, you do not give money to the government. One needs to invest in business interests.
Absolutely.
If one is not invested in business interests, there can be no growth. But the reason why this is because when you invest in a particular government, it increases the GDP. It does not touch the Gini coefficient. It does not touch the Human Development Index, and it perpetuates the cyclical nature that exists.
Foremost, if you are a serious leader like Thomas Sankara, like Che Guevara, like Castro, like Christian Ibrahim Traore, you have to study the system, how the global economic system works.
Quite insightful analysis.
When you benefit your people, you don't benefit and perpetrate a system that benefits your people peripherally. Aid was never about overhauling the structural system.
Yeah.
He will go further into that and explain.
Yeah.
It was never about that.
Yeah.
It was there about the periphery and to have gatekeepers who are our leaders to make sure that they do not revolt. And the structural levers. What do I mean by structural levers? Let's take South Africa for instance. We're talking about the land.
Yeah.
And land is not just farming. Land is everything you can imagine, because you can't even imagine if you don't have land. It's everything, right? You're talking about the land, you're talking about the mines, you're talking about the manufacturing, setting up your price, looking for your own markets, putting intellectual property on your goods and services.
Yeah.
That is all structural. And that must be owned in our country, in our continent, by melanated black people. And we do not have to be apologetic about that. Right.
One of our biggest issues on the African continent is the capacity to produce primary and secondary goods, but the inability to produce tertiary goods because of our lack of infrastructural growth and development. So in short, address a lot of these global agreements, particularly those that we have made with Bretton Woods institutions. That is one of the strongest forms to address these bottlenecks.
Yeah, you spoke about infrastructure development and capacity. I think also in the context of South Africa, there's an issue of lack of human capital where critical skills for industrialization is concerned, of which I think that should be something that we look into as part of our pragmatic efforts to unbundle ourselves from this structural suffocation of foreign aid. But you wanted to say something about how do we navigate through.
My advice I want to give to the youth of South Africa is this: they must think about it very seriously. Probably they're already doing it. If they're doing it, I want to reinforce it. To the youth of EFF, ANC, MK, PAC, AZAPO, and IFP, you must be seamless and you must seriously focus on the manifestos of all your parties, because there is something general, there's a common thread that runs there to get the commanding heights structurally back to the black body, back to black people unapologetically. That includes the land.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about all those parts. So number two, the youth. Electioneering will not bring about a revolution. It could be one of the parts, but I would argue equally so, it can mislead you. It's a garden way path that misleads you, elections, because it gets a few into parliament and they live a life of luxury.
Yeah,
but revolutionarily, it doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
So I'm appealing to the youth of this country so that it's a template for the rest of Africa. Come together. Don't let these old people, don't be stitched into their grudges they have.
Yeah.
Be revolutionary minded, come together and make sure that all levers of power and economy, you are involved there. And they must not dare tell you that you cannot sit there. And what are those levers of power am I talking to? Having named the youth, you must make certain that you sit in the Reserve Bank. You must make certain that you sit in all the commercial banks. You must make certain you sit in all the mining houses. You must make certain that you sit in the Public Investment Commission, where there's about 2.5 trillion rands and all that.
Yeah.
And what you don't know, you will learn, so that every pathway of money that is made in this country, you are there and you are involved. the future of this country as the black youth, and I've named it across all the parties, it is in your hands.
For me, the underlying issue here is the mental structure, the predominant mental makeup of our leaders. That's the predominant underlying issue here. Because if we do not have leaders who are thinking right, we cannot have a continent that is functioning right.
Okay.